Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio, the podcast that features incredible interviews with real people who also listen to this show, who've used the ideas from this show to build beautiful businesses. It's a flywheel of success around here, and we're so glad that you've joined us for today's episode. Today's not an interview, it's just you and me hanging out. But you probably saw in the title, I made a pretty bold promise for you, and we're going to fulfill on that promise. I need to set things up just a little bit before we dive into how to find 2.5 million viable ASINs in a few seconds. Pretty bold claim, but we're about to do that. Let me explain to you why these are viable ASINs first before we get into it. You may have heard me talk in the past about our strategy that we developed in this community starting about 2 years ago, called the above buy box strategy. Now, if you've never heard of that, let me just give you a real brief breakdown, and then we'll get into the 2.5 million ASINs or products that are viable for you to look at and consider selling. So why above buy box? What does that mean? Since the beginning of teaching people how to sell on Amazon, the YouTube videos, the content, the podcasts, the courses, the experts, the gurus, on and on, the conferences, 99% of them, if they're talking about reselling, if they're talking about selling products that aren't your own, which, by the way, is most products on Amazon, resellers selling products that don't belong to them, huge opportunity. Amazon has created more millionaires than any company in world history, and a whole bunch of them, including right now, including next month, as things continue to grow, a whole bunch of those people who have done really well are resellers selling products that don't belong to them. We're helping fill the shelf space at Amazon's 200 warehouse network. That's a lot of what we're doing. Now, sure, you can sell stuff from your garage on Amazon, just like you can on eBay. But Amazon gives you the benefit, as you likely know, that you can use their warehouse network. And quite often, sellers make a mistake, and the entire industry that I just mentioned, all those conferences and podcasts and YouTube channels and experts and Instagram and TikTok guys telling you how to scan barcodes, they're teaching you how to win the buy box. There's entire industry set up with software and tools. Win the buy box, win the buy box. So the assumption has become in the industry, winning the buy box means winning sales. I'm not going to argue that you definitely do win sales if you win the buy box. But you can also win a whole bunch of sales without ever winning the buy box. And we've been providing incredible proof of that. Hundreds and hundreds of examples posted in our Facebook group. There's a link, by the way, at silentjimdotcom if you're not in there. You're going to see all kinds of students and success stories and people saying, wow, this really works. And wow, I'm the highest priced seller on this product, making sales with all kinds of competitors priced lower. Why is that happening? Are customers just not smart? Are they accidentally grabbing the high priced product when there's lower price point options? It's always interesting for me to see people first exposed to this idea and challenge them with the thought of, why is it on this ASIN, and I'll show them an example, on this product, there's, say, 50 people selling it, 50 sellers. Most of them typically are competing right around the buy box. Let's say this product has a buy box right around $25. So all the sellers are kind of clustered around that $25 point. Let's say 45 of the 50 sellers are pretty tightly packed, trying to win the buy box, win the buy box. I got to win the buy box to win sales. Okay, that's great. Hopefully that works out well for you. But what if you could be one of the top 5 highest prices on that ASIN winning sales? It sounds ludicrous until it becomes so obvious that you will smack yourself in the forehead that you didn't think of this yourself. And we've been teaching this, like I said, for a couple of years with tremendous success. We will get to the promise I made, exactly how you can find 2.5 million viable test-worthy ASINs based on this strategy in just a few seconds. We'll get to that. Hang tight. But I've got to explain what makes these viable. That's what we're doing right now, just as a reminder. Okay, so we know what it means to win the buy box. We know what it means to have a very competitive price. And most people assume that winning the Amazon game means having a more competitive price on average than everyone else selling the same product. And to strong extent, they're right. You can win a lot of sales that way. And if you get pricing advantages, that's great. You're going to probably win the lion's share of the sales on an ASIN. But here is where it gets interesting. And you have to actually think of a real live person to make this scenario work. If you've never heard me describe this before, this is your aha moment. If you've heard me talk about the above buy box strategy a lot and you're just waiting for the good part, hey, we'll get to that in a minute. But I've got to make sure everyone's up to speed. Let's go through this scenario. I like to use the example of a busy single mom who has a birthday party for her youngest daughter tomorrow. Everyone's coming over. She's got everything she needs. It's 8 p.m. in the evening. Walmart closes in an hour or two, so she better have everything because that's her last chance, right? Or is it? Oh no, there's a gift. She forgot. She promised her daughter this one certain toy, and she's pretty sure Walmart has it. So she could throw her 4 kids in the car and scurry to Walmart. And if they don't have it, maybe Target would, and maybe store A, B, or C would have it if they don't, and kind of hide it from her child and figure it all out, right? Just imagine that scenario at 8 p.m. on a Friday. Who wants to do that? Or what's she probably going to do? She's probably going to hop on Amazon and go, oh, please, I hope they have one of these that can be delivered in time for the party tomorrow. That happens at 4 p.m., let's say. So here it is, 8 o'clock on a Friday. She's got a party at 4 p.m. on a Saturday. Limited options unless she throws all the kids in the car and bounces store to store. But look, wow, there's the toy. It's a popular toy. There's 30 people selling it. Most people are charging way less than the fastest delivery option. Because look at that, a smart seller has hopped on a very popular ASIN, a very popular item, and sent in a product. Everyone else is selling it for about $25, and they're all fighting over the buy box, all the other sellers. But as this busy single mom looks at the delivery date and the delivery times for that product, she notices a pattern. Oh no, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. The best price, I'd have to wait 6 days to get it. I don't think I can do that, right? The party's tomorrow. So my only choice is I've really got to hope that one of these sellers is fast as she scrolls down. Oh, look, someone's charging $37. Everyone else is at $25. But look, there's a seller at $37. Now she could get in her car and go to Walmart and buy it for about $22 to $26. She's thinking, right? It's $25 on Amazon. But there's someone selling it for $37. A smart FBA seller like you or me that knows that a lot of busy people who are more interested in speed than they're interested in saving a few dollars. They want speed more than they want a couple extra dollars in their wallet, like this single busy mom. So what does she do? She scrolls down to that person who can have it to her at 8 a.m. $37, and she throws it in her cart, and she goes to bed resting well, knowing that worst case scenario, maybe 8:30 a.m. Amazon's good in her area. They really deliver on time. Party is saved. Everyone goes to bed on time. Bedtime stories for the kids, and everyone's in bed on time. No stress, no driving to Walmart. All for the small price of about $12 more than she would have had to pay had she gotten in her car and gone to 2 or 3 stores and probably spent about $12 in gas and a whole lot more than that in pain and suffering and agony of missing the bedtime. You get the point, right? Busy people pay for convenience all day, every day. And for some reason, the entire Amazon seller universe has been in denial of that for about a decade. No one's teaching this, certainly not to the depth that we are. So where's the opportunity? Let me get real specific. I'm going to tell you about those 2.5 million ASINs in just a minute, but let's get real specific here. The opportunity is in the fact that this busy mom lives near one of Amazon's 200 plus warehouses, and that one warehouse happened to have a single unit of that product. Now, if that seller had been fighting for the buy box, of course, that mom would have been happy to pay less money. That'd be great, but she's more than willing to pay more. And she's thrilled, actually, to pay more. She probably would have paid $50 for that doll. She only had to pay $37, and she was thrilled at the transaction. If you're only listening to the traditional Amazon reseller training, win the buy box, win the buy box, win the buy box, you're going to be down there with all the other $25 sellers, and you will never know that you just sold a product to someone who is willing to pay more. I say it like this. Every day, millions of shoppers on Amazon, and we've got the overwhelming proof of this. I'm not going to go into why I can prove it today, but overwhelming evidence and proof of what I'm saying. Every day, millions of shoppers on Amazon pay far less than they were willing to pay for products that will arrive after they wish they could have had them. In other words, a lot of people are sitting down going, oh gosh, I guess I'll just go to Walmart. I don't want to wait 3 days to pay the same price I could pay if I just got in my car and went to Walmart and grabbed one off the shelf. So all these sellers who are fighting over the buy box and not using FBA and not filling Amazon's 200 warehouse network with popular products, they're missing out on so much opportunity. So your question to me might be, well, Jim, how many products right now could you easily prove are missing from Amazon's 200 plus warehouse network? Is there any way to prove that? Is there any way to know how many products there are? Now, my best estimation is at any given time, there's about 10 million products that are steady sellers that are understocked in Amazon's 200 plus warehouse network, meaning buy a couple units, send them in at a high price. Odds are within a month or two, that thing's going to sell at a very attractive, nice, high margin, high price for you that you'll be very happy about. But I can't quite prove that one as much as I can prove the unstocked. Understocked is a little bit fuzzier. Understocked is open to interpretation. What if half of Amazon's warehouses have the product and the other half don't? How can you possibly know that? Those things are a little harder. Now, I wish Amazon would give us the data to know these things. Hey, Amazon, if you're listening, equip us with more information to help fill your shelves with the products that people want fast. And by the way, while you're at it, turn off those ridiculous price limitations that make it not profitable for anyone to meet the needs of customers who want the products fast. Let the customers pay what they're willing to pay, in other words, for speed. But for some reason, on especially top 1% brands, the most popular products in their catalog, Amazon likes to crank the price low. And I understand they want to be price competitive. Okay, whatever. We avoid those. The above buy box strategy doesn't work on those top 1% brands. Set that aside for a moment. It works for the vast majority of the catalog, however. And that's just part of the reality of being an Amazon seller is navigating some of those things. I'm not going to go into the weeds, but I promised you 2.5 million viable ASINs. So what if I could show you a way? I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this in a moment. What if I could show you a way to find products that are completely unstocked in Amazon's warehouse network, meaning there's 0 units in Amazon's warehouse network, but there's evidence that they're steady selling products, meaning we know that they're selling regularly, but there's none in Amazon's warehouses. If Amazon doesn't have any, no third-party sellers have any, the 200 plus warehouse network is sitting empty of any of those products. Now, that's not to say that people aren't selling it from their garage, perhaps. I mean, that's how people are ordering it and getting it. That's how we know it's a popular product. People are selling it from their garage. I'll give you an extreme example. I've used this example a few times. If you've never heard this before, prepare to have your mind blown. Focus in for just a minute. It's going to sound like a boring story, and then it's going to blow your mind. So we've got a student in our community, a young man I attend church with. My son's become friends with him. They hang out. Coaching student, came through our coaching program. I won't give you the long story about how all that played out, but he's one of these guys that jumped in with both feet, ran with it. I talked to him a couple months after our first conversation, and he had launched an amazing business. He's one of these go-getter type of guys. He sold 2,400 units of an easily sourced product. Ridiculously easy sourced product. I would venture to say that every Kroger, Walmart, Target, every retail store that has any kind of school supply section at all has an abundance of this product. He sold 2,400 units of it in just a few weeks. And you might be thinking, well, yeah, of course, because he bought a bunch in bulk and got a price discount, right? No, that's not what happened. He paid full retail. There were 200 other people, as a matter of fact, already selling this product when he went and purchased his inventory. Every other course, expert guru YouTube channel, coaching program, Instagram influencer telling you how to scan barcodes, they would all say 200 sellers, time out. You're insane to hop on that ASIN. Who in their right mind would even go anywhere near an ASIN that has 200 people already selling it? It's like, what is it, an Xbox? What are you going to try to make a nickel per sale or something? That's insane. Why are you doing that? Well, he knew the above buy box strategy. So he didn't just look at how many sellers there were. He looked at, here's the key, he looked at how many FBA sellers are there. There weren't very many, only a few. Of the 200 sellers, the vast majority, almost all of them, were merchant fulfilled sellers, people selling this product from their garage, which meant if you bought from any of those people, doesn't matter if they lived across the street from you, if you bought from any of them, the fastest you would get that product is a couple days from now. Well, that's not good enough for a lot of people. Remember the busy moms who need it tomorrow morning, guaranteed on their front porch? A lot of people use Amazon that way. So they weren't looking at 200 sellers. They were looking at 3 or 4 sellers who had sent this fairly low priced product in, which doesn't make sense to FBA if you're listening to all the other experts and gurus and courses and YouTube channels and influencers. If you're listening to all of them about how to win the buy box, you're going to miss this entirely. But he didn't listen to them. He listened to us. He knew that he could be one of only 3 or 4 sellers helping fill Amazon's 200 warehouse network with a product that a lot of people wanted fast. They didn't want to save $5, $7, $9 and get it a few days from now. They wanted it on their porch tomorrow morning, and they didn't care what they paid. They wanted it fast. So what did he do? Here's the mind-blowing part of the story. He hopped in with 200 sellers as the highest priced seller among 200 sellers. Let me repeat that. Among 200 people selling the exact same item, shoppers in mass chose to buy from him as the highest price option. 2,400 units moved in just a few weeks. What was going on? He helped fill Amazon's 200 warehouse network and gave shoppers a viable, speedy option. In some cases, people who live near Amazon's warehouse network in the United States have a 20-minute delivery option. There's no merchant fulfilled option out there to get something to someone in 20 minutes. Even if the person lives across the street from you and places an order, you got to send it in through the mail. You got to have proof tracking and all that. It's going to take a couple days at the fastest. You can't get it there in 20 minutes unless you're an FBA seller, helping fill the underserved shelf space and the completely unstocked shelf space in Amazon's warehouse network. So I've set it all up now. This student, by the way, 2,400 units sold, made a killing, selling a product for $16 that everyone else was selling for $5 or $6. And all those other sellers, merchant fulfilled sellers selling it for $5 or $6, fighting over the buy box. I got to have the buy box. I got to win the buy box and make a nickel per sale. Ridiculous, right? Don't be one of them. Find the underserved shelf space in Amazon's massive warehouse network. That's what he did. And he sold 2,400 units priced, in some cases, 3 times higher than what other people were charging for the same product. And the reason a lot of people weren't using FBA is because they were thinking, well, I can't be price competitive. FBA, this product is only selling for a few dollars. The highest I could possibly charge is $7 or $8 after fees. I'm not making any money. Well, our student was making $5, $6 plus per sale because he just jumped in at a high price and they started flying. You may think, well, that's just one exception. That's just one interesting he just happened to get lucky. Amazon gave him the buy box, right? No, he never won the buy box, not once. That's the beauty of the ignore the buy box strategy. You don't need to win the buy box. All you have to do is win the customer's attention who's in a hurry. And that's easily done as they look at the delivery times. For some weird reason, I don't know why this is, Amazon does not make it easy for customers to find the fastest delivery option. Go check for yourself. Find a popular product and say, I want to find the fastest delivery option. I don't care about price. I want the fastest delivery option. Amazon makes you dig for it. There's no way to sort by date. There's no way to say, hey, what's the fastest option? You got to dig through and look at the dates one at a time. Millions of people do that all day, every day. They look for the fastest delivery option and ignore the price entirely. Serve those people, your margins are going to skyrocket. The beauty of this model is you don't need to send in more than a couple handful of units at a time and just wait for them to sell. If they don't sell, you drop your price down, play in the buy box mud with everyone else, get your money back. Because we're only doing this on popular products. Okay, so how do we find these 2.5 million products? What if I told you there was a tool you could use to jump in right now and find all the products that have zero availability in Amazon's warehouse network, zero units anywhere in all 200 plus warehouses, and the product also sells quickly? That's where I kind of left you before I told the story of our student. There's a way to do it. The tool is called Keepa. Keepa scrapes more data than any other tool on the planet, to my knowledge, off of Amazon. So it has all the data that Amazon is willingly sharing with us and all the data that Amazon isn't necessarily sharing with us because it happened 6 months ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago. So you can see trends, you can see how many sellers are selling, you can see what price points other sellers have been charging historically, all kinds of good data. There's literally 100 plus ways to use Keepa to source. But I'm going to tell you a simple search that you can do right now. And if you're watching, I'm going to flip over and have a different screen. So I'm telling you the exact instructions without me having to memorize these steps, okay? But you want to go to Keepa and get a paid version. The free version of Keepa will not allow you to do what I'm telling you right now. If you want to get a paid version, it's like $20 a month. Go to silentjimdotcom/Keepa or just Google Keepa, Keepa, take you right to their website, get the paid version of their tool. And you want to use Product Finder. It's in the upper left-hand corner on the main menu, right under the Keepa logo, Keepa Finder. Click on that. It's a big, ugly, scary looking database looking screen that allows you to do all kinds of crazy searches. There's only 2 fields you're going to use. There's like 150 fields on there that you can search on. You only need to search on 2. You're going to need to find the one called, give me just a moment, count of retrieved live offers. Very archaic wording for basically saying, hey, how many FBA sellers are there? And you want to say 0 FBA sellers. It has a from and to. Anywhere between 0 to 0, meaning show me all the ASINs in Amazon's catalog that have 0 FBA sellers. So you're locking it down to say just ASINs that have 0 units in Amazon's warehouse network. You with me? 0 FBA sellers. Then the next thing you're going to do is go down and look for the number of drops per month. Now, I don't know what a steady seller is to you based on drops per month on Keepa. I'm not going to go into an in-depth analysis of this. I could kind of nerd out for about half an hour. Anything above 10 to 12 is probably a pretty accurate indicator that this thing is selling at least 15, 20, 50 times a month, minimum, if not more. As the number gets bigger, you could have crazy, like 90 drops a month could mean 1,000 plus sales per month. So I'm not going to go into what drops mean. We teach that in our training. Get into the Proven Amazon course. You can discover all kinds of ridiculously useful strategies. We spend a lot of time teaching you ways to use Keepa creatively in the Proven Amazon course. There's a link in the show notes today. There's a link at silentjimdotcom as well. But I'm going to use, let's just say 11 drops. 11 drops. So you find where it says sales rank drops on that page, and it says drops in the last 30 days. That's changes in the rank. How many times has the sales rank dropped in a positive direction, closer to the number 1 position? How many times has it dropped? Kind of like in golf, low score is better. A drop in rank means sales are happening. So we can make an estimation of how many sales are happening by watching the sales rank drops. The important part is you're going to put the number 11 in that field where it says from, put the number 11, and then just click your tab key. And you're going to see right on your screen. Now, if you're listening to this today, I am not showing the listeners or the viewers on YouTube anything that you're not hearing. This is just me talking, being as descriptive as I can to tell you how to do this. I'm not including visuals today because 95% of our listeners are listeners. So I want to make sure and be very descriptive here. You're going to see a little box pop up on your screen that tells you how many results Keepa has found. And in this case, I got 2.8 million products that have been found. That according to Keepa, as of right now, today, as I'm doing this, and you can go do it yourself and see what you get, the ASINs that are dropping at least 11 times per month, meaning they're selling probably 15 to 20 times per month minimum, that have no inventory in Amazon's warehouse network. How many of those products is Keepa tracking? Keepa, which is trying to keep track of about a billion plus 1.3 billion ASINs. They're not tracking all of them. They're doing their best to keep up. But that's what they are tracking is 1.3 billion. There's a lot more than that they aren't tracking. According to them, there's 2.8 million ASINs right now on Amazon that don't have any stock in Amazon's warehouse network. You could visit all 200 plus warehouses and say, hey, do you have this ASIN? They'd say, nope, we don't have any of that here. But people are buying it, but they got to wait minimum 2, 3 or more days because it's only merchant fulfilled. That's just one insight. One creative way to use Keepa. Hey, if this was a little over your head, listen to it again. Maybe that will help. I think the most important part of what I shared today is there really are millions of viable products for you to take a look at. And I can hear the skeptics right now. They're saying, but Jim, I'm probably gated in a lot of those. So it's not really 2.8 million products that I could go source and sell at a high price because some of those are maybe private label, et cetera. Like, I get it. I'm not drilling in that deep right now. The only point I'm making is I just showed you how to get almost 3 million products that are worth taking a look at. Have fun for the next 8 years with that filter, right? You're going to find a whole lot of them that are viable and test worthy. That's where the sifting and the sorting and developing systems to help you rapidly pull that list down from 2.8 million into something manageable. Like, okay, here's the 400 we're going to look at today. Of those 400, we're going to eliminate some of them because they're improperly branded. We're going to eliminate some of them because they're below our price point. Some of them we're not ungated for. Some of them are brands that have some IP complaint history. After we've sorted through, oh, look, we're left with 15 beautiful ASINs that are test worthy. We're going to buy a unit or two of these if we can find a source to buy it. Oh, well, on 5 of them, there's no source to buy it that I can easily find on Google. So now we're down to 8 or 9 beautiful ASINs after about an hour's worth of work of just pulling down that tiny list into a tinier list. You see how that works? You're not going to go through all 2.8 million. That's ridiculous. So what did we learn today? Hopefully you learned that Amazon is not a single central retail website where people go to price sensitively shop and find the lowest possible price for the stuff they need. While it is that, it's also something much, much bigger than that. Millions of people every day are very price sensitive on Amazon. Millions of other people aren't. And if you're ignoring that second category of people, if you're ignoring FBA, for example, if you're ignoring products that are unstocked or understocked, remember I said we found 2.8 million unstocked products. If we went after the understocked, meaning there's only 1 or 2 FBA sellers, and they've got 5 or 10 units here and there in a few of Amazon's 200 plus warehouses, well, there's 190 unserved warehouses that have 0 units of these popular products. That's an underserved or understocked ASIN. Hop on it. It doesn't have to have 0 FBA sellers. It could have 1, 2, 3. In the case of our friend who sold 2,400 units, there was 5 or 6 other FBA sellers already on it, but none of them had significant inventory levels, which again, you can see how many units other people have. You can use tools to easily see that. And if it's understocked, that's a great opportunity too. My estimation is any given day, there's 10 to 15 million understocked, fast moving products on Amazon that you could buy a few of, send in, charge more than everyone else, and make steady sales. That's the above buy box strategy. So I think I met my promise today. I showed you how to find 2.5 million products worth taking a look at. Hopefully I got you curious and interested in selling on Amazon above and a strategy that's above and set apart and different from anything that you've heard of before. A lot of people are under the impression that you got to win the buy box. I got to be a competitive price. Well, maybe I can be $1 or 2 above buy box, but that's about it. Because if I'm not winning the buy box, I'm not winning sales. I can tell you, we've given hundreds and hundreds of examples of products we're selling without ever winning the buy box. We're winning the heart of the shopper who wants speed, and they do not care what the price is. That's your target. with the above buy box strategy. If it sounds a little repetitive, I'm just trying to drive it home because a lot of us have these patterns stuck in our head. We think we're still on eBay where you've got to be the most competitive price because you're selling the same thing everyone else is. And there's no fast delivery option. There's nothing you could buy on eBay that you could have in 20 minutes, right? That's why it's such a price competitive environment. If two people are selling the exact same thing, the person with the low price is going to win most of the time. Very few people are looking at the delivery speeds on eBay. On Amazon, they're looking at the delivery speed. Amazon doesn't make it as easy as they should, but there's a lot of people figuring it out on their own, making the decision to go with the fastest option. If you can find those underserved ASINs and those completely unstocked ASINs, you're going to do really, really well. Have a lot of fun with this new strategy. I'm not saying it's the best way. I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm not saying it's the way everything should work. I'm just saying, hey, I just showed you how to find 2.5 million ASINs that are worth taking a look at and have some fun doing it. If you're ready to get started, maybe you're new to all this, get into the Proven Amazon course. This is the stuff that we just pour over and go into detail, show you screenshots, show you exactly how we're doing it. There's a reason we've got hundreds of success stories on this podcast. It's because we've taken people through the Proven Amazon course or our coaching, and we've shown them these strategies in depth, one step at a time, baby steps into very low risk, very high odds of success strategies. That's what the Proven Amazon course is. It's not just this one strategy. It's dozens of incredible strategies for every level and experience of Amazon seller. Well, I got to wrap it up here. I'm supposed to be on another call right now. I got to jump off, but God bless you, business building warrior. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you today. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hey, share it with a friend. If you know someone else who's maybe struggling to sell on Amazon, we got some really good ideas around here. We were voted the #1 community, the top podcast, the top conference. We have got it going on around here, not because anything that I'm doing, but simply because we've created a community of very successful, incredible giving leaders and successful sellers who love pouring into others. It's a blue ocean of opportunity. The Amazon opportunity is expanding far more rapidly than any of us can possibly imagine. I'll leave you with this fact that helps illustrate that. That 2.5 million number I gave you, it's growing. I've been watching it for several months. Every day or every few days, I go and I check how many unstocked and understocked ASINs can I find. The number is growing constantly. There's so much room for sellers of integrity and creativity to jump in and join us. Let's go. I'll have another good episode for you very soon. Talk to you then.